All right, and welcome to Gilbert's All About the Media podcast. This is going to be our last podcast episode of the year before we come back from Christmas and winter break. So, our very early Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, everyone. Hopefully, it's still December when I put this out there, but so far, I've been keeping the episodes consistent. If I sound different now as I sound within a couple of episodes ago, that's because the last time Jesus and I recorded, I forgot to plug in my mic. So that's why the last episode you heard with Jesus and I, when we were talking about real life horror, sounds so different because I forgot to plug in my mic. I didn't mention it when I did my recent episode that just came out the morning of this recording. But anyway, to kick it off with a bang for the year, as Sis and I earlier today, we went to go see Interstellar re-release in IMAX, and oh my gosh, we saw the movie 10 years ago when it first came out. I loved it. I still love it. It's top three for me of Christopher Nolan movies. Before Oppenheimer came out, it used to be, The Dark Knight, The Prestige, and then Interstellar. But then when Oppenheimer came out, it just kicked The Prestige out of the top three. But I mean, what were you gonna say, Sis?
Oh no, I just let you speak. My bad.
No, you're fine. So anyway, yeah, no, we saw it in IMAX. We saw it with a group of people when it first came out 10 years ago, November of 2014. And IMAX is expensive, and we were still in high school at the time. I think it was our senior year. And we settled for, a regular theater, which was still good, by the way. I'm not complaining. But, Sis and I, we wished we saw it in IMAX still. And then fate had it. We saw it in IMAX. We saw it earlier today. And man, like I wish we saw it years when it first came out, but I'm so glad that we saw it. I mean, the spectacles, the special effects. As soon as I mean, your reaction was pretty much the same as mine at this point.
I mean, it's just like what you said, dude. It's just a masterpiece in itself. I mean, it's wonderfully crafted, wonderfully made, and beautiful message about. I mean, the concept themes that you're seeing is with Oppenheimer and this. It's like at least with this one, it was just more. It's just putting it out there that we're living in hard times, and it's not going to get any prettier.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting how how our world is nowadays, but I guess they got the short end of the stick, but if that ever becomes our world, that's a scary thought. I mean, because like the beginning of the movie is literally about crops are now dying slowly. And crops is obviously they've been around since like biblical times. It's important to farmers to like provide for their family, but to keep food for everybody in the world. Obviously, the direction of Christopher Nolan, it's awesome how he wrote some of the characters. I know like when you watch reviews of this movie, people have mixed feelings about characters of Christopher Nolan movies. And I understand why, but I will say of all people, I mean Matthew McConaughey's character and his performance as Cooper, yeah, as Cooper in the movie. I mean, it draws me. And same thing goes for, I don't know, I think her name is something Foy, but she plays the younger version of his daughter, Murphy. And, Jessica Chastain is good too. But I mean, when I rewatch, and I've seen it a couple of times within the 10-year gap from when I first saw it in theaters till in 2014 till when I saw it in theaters recently at the IMAX. I still think that the younger girl who played the younger Murphy is more, to me, in my opinion, is more memorable than how Jessica Chastain put it. And obviously, Ellen Burstyn, when she played the older Murphy, I mean, broke our hearts, definitely. The special effects is on a whole nother level of this movie. As we mentioned before, when we talked about Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan pretty much says CGI can suck it because CGI can't hold up well unless you render it right and you give it time to render it. Recently, it was, some Marvel movies and some Disney movies, and there's a future Disney movie that's coming out that we won't discuss, but I think you might know what I'm talking about. They don't hold up. I mean, it's so computer generated. It looks like when CGI first started. And I've seen movies that when CGI first started, I mean, man, I think it's called The Lawnmower Man. Or it's like a Stephen King movie, obviously based off one of his books. But I think it's called The Lawnmower Man or something like that. I can't remember. But if you ever try to look up, like, I don't know, Stephen King Lawnmower or something like that, you'll find some of the worst CGI you've ever seen. Also, maybe like Mortal Kombat's Annihilation. That one was pretty trash. And Nolan looks at all that and says, no, we're going practical. We're going sets, which is why I love this movie and most of his movies because it's not CGI. Maybe some of the stuff could be, but everything else is all practical. When you watch Inception, you see like the room or like the hotel room, you just see like it rotate around, and then you look at the behind the scenes. This was all crafted and like it's all built on machines and stuff like that. And that's why I love like when Christopher Nolan movies, first of all, they get the Oscar for best visual effects, and it won the best visual effects that year against. Okay, so that year, some people thought that the chances, because that year was also the year of Guardians of the Galaxy, and at the time I haven't seen the movie, so I mean I've seen the movie now. Obviously, it's been 10 years, but at the time I was like, man, I feel like they're gonna give it to Guardians because in the past, the Oscar had tend to screw over Nolan multiple times. I mean, he was literally like another Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was nominated for Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think he was also nominated for Close Encounters of the Third Kind and a bunch of other movies up until he won for Schindler's List. I mean, if you ever look at the parallels, Schindler's List was a World War II movie, and Oppenheimer was also kind of a World War II movie. They've both been screwed over by the Academy. And if you also look at it, even though like Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes didn't win for their performances in Schindler's List, they were still nominated, just as, Cillian Murphy and Robert De Niro were nominated, even though, yeah, they did one for Oppenheimer, deservedly so. I guess, I don't know if deservedly is even a word, but I'll say it like that. So you find some parallels. But anyway, but I was going off track. Yes, the Academy tends to screw Nolan over. I mean, this was the only category it won for. It was nominated for other categories, but unfortunately not for Best Picture or for Best Director, which, I mean, if the Academy ever wanted to pull a curveball, that would have been the movie to pull a curveball on, because I think it would have been an interesting one. And to me, it would have been a better first time nomination than Dunkirk. And I do like Dunkirk. I mean, I actually got some Nolan flicks right here just to put it out there. And I do have Interstellar just on regular DVD for those that probably are just going to watch it. I haven't even released videos yet. Unfortunately, I don't have The Dark Knight. I cannot find The Dark Knight. But yeah, I mean, do you have a set, Jesus? I was just wondering.
I actually do. I think so far I believe I have every film available up to this point. But yeah, but just to add on to your stuff, man, like it's not really it's not a surprise to anybody up in the media world to know that this man knows what he's doing. He knows how to make movies. He knows how to utilize effects to most and up to max, and even whatever little CGI he could include. It's just nothing short of brilliance because it all flows seamlessly with his practical effects. So I was bummed out when we were all growing up and we were waiting on the Academy Awards to announce who was being nominated and what movies were, and it just really upset me at that time when Interstellar only got one nomination, or at least it seems like it got. Well, how many nominations did it get? Was it just one?
No, it was actually five.
Okay.
I think it was five. So I know obviously best visual effects it won. I think it might have been four. Let's actually look into that, shall we? Because I know it was best visual effects. Back in the days, the sound category used to be two different sound categories. It used to be best sound editing, which is when you put the sounds together, and best sound mixing, which is when you create the sounds. And the sound is all over the place in this movie. And then it did get nominated for best score, which obviously I really enjoyed the score of this film. Actually, give me a second. I think I know what it is. I think it might have been best production design back when it was still known as best art direction. For those that don't know what that is, production design or art direction is basically putting in the set, knowing where things should go, even in certain things like, say, for one of these DVDs, for example, a DVD randomly placed at a certain like part in the scene may not be used, but it shows some type of importance within either the character or the setting. So hold on, let's see it. Oh, wait, did I press Christopher Nolan? Oh, here it is. All right. So the only thing it didn't get nominated for, unfortunately, was best cinematography. Which I mean, come on, because this was Hoyt von Hoytema's first collaboration with Christopher Nolan. Because this was the first time that he didn't have his normal cinematographer Wally Fisher. I think The Dark Knight Rises was his last. It was I looked it up. It's best, obviously, as we said, best visual effects, best sound editing, best sound mixing, best production design, and best score. I'll just tell you who they lost to for the other ones. So I think best sound editing might have gone to American Sniper, which I mean, the Academy may be pretty liberal, and I'm not putting politics out there, but they can be. And sometimes, if they really want to be patriotic, they'll go for a patriotic film. So obviously, American Sniper, which I am not taking anything away from that movie. That was actually a really good movie by Clint Eastwood. And then best sound mixing went to Whiplash. That I'm definitely okay with. I love Whiplash, by the way. It is definitely one of my favorite films of all time. J.K. Simmons is, oh man, because this movie really put J.K. Simmons on the map, Whiplash, because he was only known for Spider-Man at the time. And then it lost production design and score to the Grand Budapest Hotel. I'll give it production design. I won't give it score. The only reason why it lost is because at the time, the composer of the Grand Budapest Hotel had been nominated multiple times and has never won. So there is that what most award buffs like to say the narrative of a nominee. And Hans Zimmer, great composer, has won before for The Lion King. So thus far, because Hans Zimmer already won in the past, they gave it to Alexandre Desplat, who did the Grand Budapest Hotel. Like I understand, but it's in the end, it's sometimes like you can't always use the narrative. I think the score should have won, in my personal opinion. It's up there with The Lion King and of course to The Dark Knight. Actually, before you went on this news, I saw this thing on Instagram, and it said like the top 10 most streamed Hans Zimmer songs. Number two is the Cornfield Chase. Number five is Day One from Interstellar, and number eight is Stay from Interstellar. Ironically, this land from The Lion King is on number nine, or weirdly. I would have thought like The Lion King would have been number one. Number one is Time from Inception, which is also another great movie by Nolan, by the way. But like I said earlier, the sound is everywhere in this movie. The score is loud. And I think this is also the first time in a Nolan movie where like we're trying to make out what the people are saying. Because obviously, yes, the score is loud in this movie, but also, again, understand the realism. There's no sound in space. You know what I mean? So if you when you watch like some of the exterior scenes when they're in space, you don't hear like the mechanics or anything else because there's no sound in space. I know at the time, people were a bit iffy on this movie because similarly the year before Gravity came out, which is again another great space movie by Alfonso Cuarón, who was the first Mexican to ever win the Academy Award for Best Director, and it had the same concept. However, like if you don't know anything about Nolan, he came up with these ideas years ago. So obviously, I'm like, there's no way, Nolan was copying off Cuarón, and even then, Cuarón was making this movie. Like it took him 3 years to make this movie. Like I think he took him 3 years to film Gravity because they needed new equipment, and I think even new like camera effects for the space scenes because it wasn't just like relying on the green screen. I mean, if you ever watch Gravity, look how it is. And then same thing with Nolan. He needed enough time to make this movie. And I think he was also making this movie after McConaughey finished with Dallas Buyers Club, which he won the Academy Award for. And I think that's kind of what boosted this movie a little bit up is because this came out the same year that McConaughey won his Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. And when you look at him in Dallas Buyers Club and then you look at him in Interstellar, it's so weird because in Dallas Buyers Club, he was so skinny. Like I think he said most of his diet consisted of a teaspoon of tapioca. I think that's what he said, and he tried to burn at least 4,000 calories a week. I don't know what he did, but it worked. And apparently him and Jared Leto, who was also in the movie, they've always had an ambulance ready, I believe, like during filming of Dallas Buyers Club because of like chances of them passing out on malnutrition was likely. So yeah, after that, McConaughey was in here. Obviously, I think he should have gotten the Best Actor nomination. If it wasn't Bradley Cooper, it could have been Matthew McConaughey. But of course, that people were kind of like upset because that was also the year Nightcrawler came out, and Jake Gyllenhaal didn't get nominated for that movie either. So the Academy really screwed up that year because, in case y'all don't remember or don't know, that was the first year of the Academy's like the Academy is white. I don't even know what you would call it. Basically, like all the actors that were nominated in every acting category, so like lead and supporting, were white people. And yeah, so no matter who, if they had gotten McConaughey back, or if they had gotten Gyllenhaal, or if they gotten who else did I say? Cooper. No matter what, they would have gotten that flack of, the Academy is white persona. But like I said, the sound is really it's out there. Jesus and I, we knew a scene was coming where there was an explosion. Both him and I are covering our ears because we just from watching it at a regular theater, it was a Regal theater, and not saying anything not saying anything bad about Regal. I still go to Regal theaters now that I moved back to San Antonio because there wasn't one in Huntsville. There was just a local movie theater in Huntsville. And then if I wanted to get broader, I had to go to the next town, which was Conroe. But like I said, even just watching that scene in a regular theater, not IMAX, made us jump out of our seats. So now imagine us just have, well, really, if you were there, even if it's not San Antonio, but like other parts of the globe, and you've seen it in IMAX and just know that scene's coming, you're still surprised because you know it's happening. But like I said, sounds everywhere. The score, I'll stand for the score. I will always stand by that score. To me, it's like, again, top three with the best scores. It's definitely up there with The Dark Knight. That infamous done. That's always a memorable score. And then obviously Oppenheimer, even though it was done by Ludwig Göransson and Hans Zimmer's, but also the score here in Interstellar is top two for me with The Lion King just on Hans Zimmer's level. But what about you, Asus?
I'll totally agree. I mean, this is probably the one soundtrack or score that utilizes the organ so well and to that peak, like its highest peak that it could ever go. Everything about the score, like I said, like I'll always stand on this hill. I mean, you can't make a movie without a score. Yes, I know the silent films of the 20s didn't really have any kind of sound, but if you think about it, a lot of the initial point of those films was to always be played with a live orchestra. So the
Yeah.
live orchestra would do the score itself. So honestly, even then, directors understood you can't have a movie without score. It's like a vital part. And Hans knew exactly coming into this film what he was going to put into the table. I mean, it's just it's amazing. It's up there with John Williams. It's up there with Ennio Morricone, and like you mentioned, I mean, like Ludwig and all this other stuff. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, Ludwig, man, that guy's going places. I mean, he's taking over for John Williams for Star Wars, and he's taking over now for Nolan films. I mean, he won his second Oscar for Oppenheimer, and I run a lot. If you see me in person, it doesn't look like I do, but I actually do. And there'll be some days where like I don't feel like listening to like the normal music I listen to. Sometimes I feel like listening to like soundtracks to scores. So it'll be Interstellar, and then it'll be Oppenheimer. If you really want to like be a competitive runner and practice how to run fast, run to the Oppenheimer soundtrack because when the score goes fast, you'll go fast. And oh my gosh, guys, the first time I ever did that, man, my lungs were burning, my feet were tired, I was out of breath, dude, and like everything's just hurting. Oh man. But I enjoy running to that soundtrack, even to the Joker soundtrack, the good one. I got thoughts about the second one, but I won't really get into that. But even I'll run to that. I mean, what's the main Joker theme? Especially the part where like he puts that blood smile and always gets me, bro. But yeah, the soundtrack is so awesome, and pretty much like this movie's just awesome. I mean, the editing, and the visual effects. I mean, when you watch it, I mean, it's just like how. I mean, yes, it sets, but how, man? I feel like to me, I feel like most of this stuff has to be like some type of paint. You know what I mean? Like it has to be like painting. Because remember, like when I talked about when Jesus and I were made that silent film, I mean, you had to figure out how to make things look real. I mean, I have literally a backdrop of a bookcase and a backdrop of like what could have been like a cell or something. It was a brick wall. And then like when you get the right lighting there, and then when you get the right angle, it looks real. I mean, it looks real. When I was recording Jesus for his part in my silent short film with the backdrop, man, it looked like an actual bookcase behind him. So go sets, guys. That's pretty much what I'm saying. If you want to do good special effects, go sets. Look, I've dabbled with like some After Effects. It's good. It just takes forever. And I'm not saying sets and props and all that are easy. I'm not. I'm pretty sure that takes a lot of work. I mean, I'm pretty sure Christopher Nolan had to make some type of budget to be like, hey, look, these guys are going to work hard. All right, they're going to build the sets that we need, but we need to give them a good pay because I feel like they got a good pay from this movie. I think Interstellar was like number 8 in the box office of 2014. I actually got to look that up. I know Oppenheimer really made well in the box office last year. And so did most of his other movies. The lowest one I know so far was, yeah, Tenet. And nothing bad about Tenet. I like Tenet. It's definitely not top 5 for me, but it's all right. It's an all right movie for me specifically.
It's highly underrated.
Yeah, it is. I did like his early work though of Following. I still have yet to see Insomnia, and guys, Robin Williams in a Christopher Nolan movie, you can never get that anywhere else. Or Al Pacino in a Christopher Nolan movie. Or who was it? I think Hilary Swank is in there. Once in a lifetime opportunities. I wish Matthew McConaughey would go back to do another Nolan movie. I think Nolan said he's coming out with a horror film, or I think that's what his next project was supposed to be in 26, I believe. But I think that's what his plan was. If it's a horror film, sound's definitely going to be vital in that one. But I would like to see McConaughey do another project with Christopher Nolan. I think him and Cillian Murphy would actually kill it. Like that would be a good dynamic duo. Or if Nolan was like, "Hey, let's get all three. Let's get Cillian and McConaughey and Christian Bale." And I'm just gonna be like, "Take my money, please, take it all." I thought you were gonna say something at first.
No, I was gonna add it. I was gonna tell you. I was like, Christian Bale.
Yeah. If he gets all those three in together in one movie, I mean, yeah, like I said, take my money, take it now. I'll watch it in IMAX 3D. I don't care, bro. Like, I do admire Nolan as a filmmaker. And, now that he's an Oscar winner, I want to take a break right now. So we'll be back for a little bit more about the movie. All right, guys, welcome back from break. Normally, like when we talk about movies and stuff like that, we tend to like break down like the plot and like give like a brief synopsis of the plot and how we go from point A to point B. For this episode, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it because I think this is one of those times where I'm just gonna say you gotta watch the movie yourself. I mean, even if you can't watch it on IMAX, because it's literally just an IMAX for this weekend here in San Antonio that we're recording this. Just go ahead, watch the movie for yourself. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I own a physical copy of this movie. It's just a regular DVD film. It's not a Blu-ray or anything. And the reason why I say this is because it's always the normal thing I tend to do, and that's always like we talk about a movie, we give a synopsis, and then we just give our thoughts. For today, I want to change that and say I like the movie, but you're gonna have to go see it for yourself to know what the plot is. The only thing I will say it is about the synopsis really is if you've never heard of it, what's wrong with you, first of all. Second of all, if you really want to know like a brief thing, it's basically like Earth is dying. So Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway's character, Amelia Brand, and a bunch of others go on a space mission to see what could be more inhabitant. That's all pretty much I can say, other than like time is literally of the essence of this movie, because there is one part in this movie where they say they land on a planet And it's what, like 1 minute equals 7 years on regular Earth time or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I'm not gonna do the plot of the movie or break down the plot. I'm gonna say this: go watch it because it's something that's I wouldn't do justice by talking about the plot. I'm pretty sure you would agree, Jesus. But yeah, go watch the movie for yourself. Unless you have anything to add on about that, Jesus, before we can go on with something else about the movie.
I mean, you put the words perfectly well.
Hmm. All right. But one thing I do want to talk about, and it's hit me when I was watching this, and even Jesus mentioned it when we were walking out, man. Just briefly, guys. So, as I've mentioned in the past, and I'm pretty sure Jesus has too, I am a firm believer in God. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I believe in the higher power or I believe in something greater than I am. No, what I'm saying is I believe in a savior, a creator, someone that's out there. And I know this is something that turns a lot of people off, especially when we talk about, a really great film like Interstellar. So it's weird because this comes from the mind of Kip Thorne, and I think Kip Thorne was like not a nuclear physicist. Like, was he is he a physicist? I've never actually looked into it.
I believe he is. I mean, I think his field is in physics.
Yeah. So, yeah, Kip Thorne is a physicist who's had his views of like the black hole and all that. And same thing as a lot of greatest minds of all time, such as Stephen Hawking's. And I'm not taking away anything from them, but they are atheists, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying it's ironic that like I get this view of God from this movie that was inspired by the mind of Kip Thorne, who is an atheist. I don't think he's outspoken. And I think he just says like I'm an atheist, but doesn't really get to the details of it. But for someone like me, it's hard to like not think religiously on certain movies, especially this one, because man, so space is interesting. Let's put it like that. Space is interesting because there's so much, there could be something out there. And my mind literally goes to what God created because I believe, yes, God created the universe. And I believe there's so much out there that He created that's beyond our galaxy, something that we might not know, something maybe we're not allowed to know. I'm always going to stand by the unknown because there's reasons why we're not supposed to know. Or I believe there are reasons we're not supposed to know everything. But it's weird I don't even know how to say things. All I can say is it just again blows my mind that there could be something that's beyond our existence. And if God had intended to create something outside of this reality, then well, let His will be done. But I mean, I know you had a lot of thoughts about it. It's just when we were like literally on the drive home from the theater. I mean, if you want to share something.
Yeah, sure. It'll be a bit hard to I don't go into any spoilers, but I mean, the idea is just it's just when we got out of the film, it was just a recurring theme back to me, like if God had just placed a message in this film. I mean, 10 years ago, and then now with rewatches, it just keeps getting reminded back to me that he's the benevolent creator. There's just no way God exists. He's real. He created the universe. He created everything that we see or that we know of, and science is it's the natural, realistic proof. It's all observations that you're seeing, and I mean, in space, it is hard. Obviously, we don't know anything past like light speed, and there's a lot of stuff in the mysteries of the universe that we don't know yet. We can only conjecture or theorize it. See, the idea is even though this is all through a fictional film, it's the ideas there are firm, and it kind of coincides with a lot of what Kip Thorne and other astrophysicists, that's what it was, theoretical physicists like firmly believe on how gravity works and how things can be in space, relativity. So just understanding that, I mean, yes, it's there. It couldn't have just been done. Like there had to have been somebody, an intricate designer to make this happen. I mean, yes, I believe that God created the heavens and the earth, right? That's what it says at the very first chapter of Genesis. That's true. However, time is irrelevant to God,
Mm,
right? Because he's
yeah.
omniscient, he's omnipresent, he's all knowing. So time is irrelevant to him. So when you think about it, if science says that relativity is different outside of the solar system and time is different, time changes, that's the theory. I mean, wouldn't it just make sense?
Yeah.
At least from my understanding, because I understand there's people who are not going to agree with what I say. I mean, that's perfectly fine. We don't always have to come to an agreement. We can at least accept the fact that, yes, I mean, the solar system exists. It's not faked. It's not like the Earth is flat. I mean, it's spherical. We have proof. So, anyway, the whole point is, so going on a tangent here, getting back to the fact that he created the heavens and the earth, it says 7 days, and then he rested. Oh, sorry, 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh, Sabbath. Time is irrelevant for him. So who's to say that 7 days, each day, could have represented 170 million years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, time is irrelevant for him. He could just be a wormhole that he said, he may have used wormholes or black holes to basically say, oh, okay, I'm going to create every living thing that has existed at this point. Boom. I used a wormhole. Boom. There it is. It's all there for you.
Yeah.
So, for our perspective, our view standpoint, it looks like the whole day passed. Whereas for him, it may have taken eons, may have taken light years. But see, that's the idea. It's irrelevant for him. Time serves God,
Yeah.
and not the other way around.
I think that's interesting too because like Matthew McConaughey has said he does believe in God. He is a religious person. I don't know about Nolan though. He's never said if he is Christian or atheist or he just doesn't talk about religion in general. And I respect the guy for it because it's one of those things that divides people. But it's an interesting perspective of this because like you could find a religious meaning or not really a religious meaning, but like a a Christian meaning or a spiritual meaning, depending on how you want to pursue things in certain movies. And definitely Interstellar is one of them. I mean, if you heard me, like, I was lost for words on like God and space. You know what I mean? It's interesting because space is, as far as most people can think of, space is endless. And it's scary how endless is. I mean, same thing with eternity. Eternity never ends. And that's so crazy. But I think like how I see it is that like when we die and when we're in heaven, eternity, the thought of and fear of eternity never ending, that probably wouldn't even be in our minds at all, which is so crazy to think about it. What brings me the most now is, the future of mankind. So as Jesus and I says, or as we believe, yes, there is going to be a coming of Christ, but for the future of humanity, we don't know when, obviously. I mean, to me, it's like I don't even know how to perceive it or even think of it. I mean, if I look at the movie, if I look at Interstellar, I mean, could it be like that or not? We don't know. It could be at the moment that we're recording, and so far not. But also it could be in another 100, 200, even 1,000 years. Like I said, we don't know. We don't even know how long, the Earth is gonna be. You know what I mean? Because in the movie, it said that mankind wouldn't live past I guess Cooper's grandson's generation, or I think his kids' generation. It just depends on how old his kids are and how long his kids would last in the movie. Which, of course, in the movie, his daughter figures a way out for mankind to live, thanks to the help of Cooper. I know I said like we weren't gonna go full plot details into this, but sometimes you say things and you kind of want to say more things. But like I said earlier, go watch the movie for yourself. I know I kind of made said some stuff already. I know I said some stuff already, but like I said, rest of the movie, go watch it because like trying to break it down, especially me right now, because like I'm gonna be taking off the road tomorrow to do some more work for Christmas. But I'm just saying I don't want to rush things, and I feel like I'm gonna forget things that are very vital to the movie. That's why, like I was thinking, I'm not gonna break down the plot to the movie, but might as well go through something more of a spiritual in a Christian aspect. But like I said, I mean, just seeing it, and I'm probably not the only one. Maybe there are some people who are Christian, who might have seen the movie and said, "Man, like it's amazing what God can create." And somebody that I knew, or Jesus and I both knew, when we walked out of the movie the first time around back in 2014, he said it was very humanistic. Man, it's been a while since I touched on the word humanistic. Not on the podcast. I mean, like personally, it's been a while since I've touched on what humanism really was. I'm pretty sure it's been a while for you. I mean, last time I've heard that word was definitely high school, which is almost 10 years ago. Man, if I can look it up too, humanism is also different because there are different forms of humanism. Like there's a form of humanism that's like atheism almost. So hold on. If I can find it, unless you have the word for it already, but I know it's been a while for you. Let's see. Okay. It says here a non religious philosophy that emphasizes the value of humans and their ability to live meaningful lives without the need for supernatural forces. So, yeah, almost like atheism. But, I mean, you perceive it how you is, you could find humanistic values. Or if you're someone like me or Jesus, you'll find a lot of like spiritual and religious values. Those values definitely like help me a lot more throughout my life. And like I said, I know this is religion and God and the supernatural are some things that people don't really, especially nowadays, people don't really want to touch upon. But it's also like I can't hide who I believe in, or not even that. I cannot not talk about the God that I believe in, which is God Himself. And like Jesus said, we didn't mean to go on a tangent. It's just one of those things. It's like once I see it, I gotta talk about it. But the love I have for this movie, it just like takes you to it. And I haven't had that feeling since the first time around. Sorry. Sorry, we went to Freddy's afterwards. No, I'm just kidding. No, I've had that feeling since Jesus and I and everybody else saw that movie the first time around, and watching it again, and especially in IMAX, the feeling came back. And I'm like, man, it's a lot to process and to handle. And like I said, maybe there are things we're not allowed to know, we're not supposed to know. I feel like people need to drop the unknown, trying to find the unknown. But we as humanity, we're trying to like we want to solve everything in the puzzle. You know, I know how difficult that is because I'm not gonna understand everything. Jesus definitely is not gonna understand everything in life. We gotta. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say facts.
Yeah, facts. That's just how we are. And you could try to continue going all you want. You know, that's just. But in the end, like, what are you gonna try to find? You know. And I know we really got off topic here, especially because we were talking about Interstellar. And yes, if you want to come back to it, all I will say is that like it's a really great movie. Again, great direction from Christopher Nolan. Whatever goes on in that man's mind, oh my gosh. I mean, especially when you watch like Inception. I think at first people kind of thought when he did Inception, people thought he was plagiarizing a Japanese movie that literally had the exact same like plot about somebody who can go into people's dreams. But Nolan had said, no, I came up with the idea when I was 16. I forgot what the movie's called, by the way. I need to look it up, but it's a Japanese movie, a Japanese anime movie. Man, I gotta look it up. If I ever find it, I'll bring it back up on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, I guess the things that go on in Nolan's mind, that and Tenet. I don't know how you not lose yourself writing a movie like Tenet. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about Tenet. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, are you referring to Paprika?
Was it Paprika?
Because there's one that's something about a dream terrorist.
It could have been Paprika. It might have been that one.
All right, real quick, side note. Paprika is a really fantastic film. I mean, this is like one of those films that defines what anime is or what it should be labeled as according to the rest of the world. I mean, like, if anybody who thinks anime is just, the equivalent of Saturday morning cartoons, I mean, you should really take a look into the films that they make and try to accept that animation is just for any type of audience. I mean, Hayao Miyazaki proves it. You have, I believe, the director of this Paprika, Satoshi Kon. I think that's what it is. He made, again, side note, made a Paprika is amazing, but I personally believe his magnum opus that everybody, I guess, the rest of the area agrees with, is Perfect Blue. If you've never heard of that one, now that
Yeah,
one really gets into the nitty gritty of like mental health and all the other stuff. So, but yeah,
yeah,
this is a side note.
yeah. It was Paprika. I found that out. Yeah, but no, I mean, like, I mean, given how what you were talking about the movie, there are a lot of differences from this one, and obviously Inception, which again, really great movie. I think I've only seen it like twice or three times. I haven't touched upon it since like the early 2010s. Not like The Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. We also have Dunkirk too. I cannot find that one either. But man, I wish I found The Dark Knight and Dunkirk. That would have been a good one. But in case some people want to know, what I have right now in my physical hands is Interstellar, The Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, and The Prestige. I mean, obviously, I'm going to stand by all these movies. Cody Leach is one of those rarities, and I'm not. If somehow he's listening to this, which I highly doubt, but if somehow he is, I'm not being one of those people on his comment section. And if you listen to Cody Leach and you ever watch his YouTube videos, let's put it this way: he's like the king of like people are gonna put something on your comment section in your videos because he has so many like I don't even know what's the word different views of certain things. So when he was talking about like his favorite Batman movies and his favorite Nolan films, and this is his list. That's why I say I'm respecting his list. You know, it's his personal opinions. He prefers Batman Begins over The Dark Knight. And I know some of like the hardcore fanatics are probably gonna want to like I don't even know burn him at the stake for that, but it's his personal opinion. He just prefers that because Batman Begins is about Batman versus The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, where the villains kind of take the lead in that movie, and it's neither it's not Heath Ledger's fault, and even if he had not died, because remember Heath Ledger died after making The Dark Knight, even if he had not died and still he was still living, that performance still would be like top tier. He still could have won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and then I wouldn't think the Tom Hardy and what was her name? Marion Cotillard would have taken center stage. But I will say, yes, Batman is Harley in this movie. Not saying as both Batman and Bruce Wayne. That's also because remember in the movie he's pretty much like, his back was busted, so he's in some cell in Africa. I think it was Africa healing, while Gotham is in destruction. But in the end, Nolan was had to write it because people were wanting it, you know. And I know maybe the Dark Knight and Batman Begins could have just been a good theology, which I would have been okay with now. You know what I mean? Because even I was one of those people back in 2008 that's like, okay, are they gonna make a third one? Is it gonna make a third one? And then as I grew up more, and then I understand like how things are, especially when I watch more of his movies, I was like, you know what? It would have been good as duology, but The Dark Knight Rises is still a good movie. And I'll still say it's a good ending to a Batman trilogy. No, I think that's an ending everybody accepted, which I really like, somehow I accepted it. And which is good because he wanted to move on to other stuff, which is of course after The Dark Knight Rises. I'm gonna keep holding this in my hand. Interstellar. I don't know, just holding it feels something. It's like a part of me now. But dude, I'm just looking at the cover, man. I'm just thinking about like the planets too. I don't think we've ever covered the planets of those, at least the ice planet, which I forget about sometimes. That ice planet is a whole nother like set and special effects that I have to give Nolan and the VFX guys for. But anyway, I know we've went off topic a lot for this subject. And Jesus and I, we talked about we went way off from, Interstellar to, religion and spirituality and stuff like that. Sometimes we just can't help it, You can talk about one thing and then it just leads to another. And then we're like, what are we talking about again? Oh yeah, back to this one. But I think I'm just gonna cut it off from here because I have a busy day tomorrow. After this recording, because I'll be heading back to Huntsville to do more work for this Christmas celebration that we're doing. So before we end, I just want to say, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Hopefully, a good 2025 will be a good year. I know, this year we've lost a lot of great folks. Like I think Piper Laurie we lost early this year. Carl Weathers, we've mentioned in this podcast, James Earl Jones, Maggie Smith, a lot of Tony Todd a couple of weeks before this recording. So many great, so many great stars, so many great people. We do have some big plans for the podcast of 2025 for the rest of the season. I know Jesus and I we are Jesus and I we are gonna be definitely talking about Nosferatu in the Wolfman, but there's more to that episode, so I can't wait to do that episode because there's a lot on that episode we're definitely gonna be talking about that's just beyond those movies. Oh man, should I just say the other one? I'm gonna say it. Well, we're gonna be talking about a Samurai Jack. Hopefully, people actually know Samurai Jack. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna be talking about those and declaring it. I'm officially declaring it, guys. I know you can't really say what's gonna happen on your last episode of the season, but in March, I don't know if we'll be recording it in March or February, but the last episode of the season is gonna be the Indiana Jones one. So I literally have till now, till March, to actually watch the Dial of Destiny.
Just so you know, if you want, I have it at home. So whatever you want to just hang out, I can bring it.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Indiana Jones one. It's gonna be the finale of season 3. But I can't wait for some of the other ones. I definitely can't wait for the Samurai Jack one. I think that was gonna be one of my favorites to do. Definitely I'm gonna love the Nosferatu Wolfman episode. I'm only saying this now because I want people to actually be excited for this. Because like if you're a movie buff like I am, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Susan and I like Interstellar. Just going back to it one last time. Susan's the science guy. I'm the film guy. Yeah, we're polar opposites, but when it comes to a movie like this, or comes to a movie like I don't know, Jurassic Park, if it's like the best of both worlds for both of us. I said it to him, and I think he's also said as well. Really, when I die, I want the theme song to this because I'm surprised we didn't mention it when we were talking about the music of this movie, but I want the theme song to play at my funeral. Because as I told him, it's like we're ascending into heaven almost. It depends on how you view the ascension. You get what I mean? But I mean, all I could say is one last time, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Even maybe people are going to be not listening to this around that time, but still, I mean, I hope your 2025 has a great year. If you have New Year's resolutions, good luck. I can never keep up with them. And God is good, man. I feel like I need to say that God is good.
He's the reason for the season,
He's
after all.
Yeah, he's the reason for the season. All right, so y'all have a good night, day, morning, whenever you guys listen to this. Y'all take care, man. Love you all. And we're signing out.